So good morning, welcome along. Eclipse Motorcycles out for a quick test ride on this one. This is the LXR 125 in black and red. And we've got this running in full nighttime mode. So you've got those two big hawk lights that are running to the front of this bike. Twin discs on this as well. So you've got those nice two big twin discs to the front of the bike. And those nice wide mirrors on this as well. So combined braking system on this. Front brake will give you one of the discs, the rear brake will give you the opposite disc plus that rear disc at the back. Lovely set of tyres on this as well. So this is running the 150/70/17s on the back. Nice fat wide tyre on this. That nice stainless can as well. And then on the front you've got your standard sports tyre running there on a 17 as well. So we're going to take this one out, give it a road test. It is very, very windy this morning. The last tail end of the storm is coming over. So we're going to get out, get on the road with this one. While we're seated on the bike, just to show you the display on this one, nice big rev counter to the centre. All your lights are just to the left, and then your mileage and your miles per hour on the right. Tank is just to the bottom of that display, telling you your fuel. And just looking at those mirrors, from my point of view, I've got this much of my shoulder in the mirror, so there is quite a lot of the mirror. You can see the road behind, but obviously from the eye it's a totally different view from what the camera gets. But from a naked eye, I've got about a third of my shoulder taking up that mirror. So nice wide view on the mirrors. I'm going to take this one out, give it a road test. LED indicators on this one as well, and a lovely seated position with those raised bars on this. So we're just going to move out into the traffic and get some mileage on this bike. So obviously stuck behind a lorry. Up into third, fourth, into fifth, and get it chugging along at a nice steady 3000 RPM, and then just bring the power on once we get onto the dual carriageway. Now obviously we have sold a lot of these LXRs over the last couple of months. Did have 4 of these in originally. They are all now sold out, and we are awaiting the next shipment of bikes coming from Lexmoto. And it's not just us, it is the same across the country. You cannot get Lexmoto bikes for love or money. Pre-orders have already been placed on a lot of the bikes, so people have been placing deposits just to hold these bikes to get themselves an order in. But obviously we are out of Iskas, we are out of Assaults. ZSBs are coming in the next couple of days, hopefully, and there is something new coming up on the Lexmoto page over the next few days as well. I've been told there are 3 new bikes coming on the market, and I do know what those bikes are, but obviously I have been sworn to secrecy, and I am going to be very, very impressed. We've actually got a couple of those new bikes coming. So you will see those when they come in. Obviously we did the first ride test of the Cypher when the Cypher first came out. First ride test we did, I was very, very impressed with that. Obviously the range isn't that good at 40 miles, but as a little urban commute, 30 mile an hour, and you can ride it at 16 or on your granddad's rights. So if something you want to put in the back of your camper van, that little Cypher is absolutely brilliant. And obviously awaiting to find out what that new bike is. But I know what it is, but I think people are going to figure out what is coming onto the market. So 3 new bikes coming up from Lexmoto in the next few days. Riots are going an absolute storm. Do love those little Riots, and the 2 that we had in, we have sold those, and they are completely out of stock across the country, and there is no date as to when the next batch are coming in. They sold like hotcakes in the first couple of weeks. Obviously new Assaults have come out, new colours as well, blue and yellow, and they've now got an industrial grey or a silver. in the Assault as well. Looking forward to seeing that colour, the battalion green as well. So they are changing the colours around on these bikes a bit. And obviously the Iskas, probably one of the best sellers this year, totally sold out again. And then for all of those that knock Chinese bikes, if you're knocking them that good, why are they selling and out of stock across the country? So it just proves the Lexmoto brand does do what it says on the tin, as I always say. I've had sort of the odd one or two where I've not been happy with them, and if you have watched a lot of my ride tests, wasn't very happy with the look of the Iska. I absolutely love that bike now. Very, very nice, comfortable bike. So I'd always say, sit on a bike, check it out, see what you think before you decide to go ahead and purchase. Obviously pictures can sell a bike 1,000 times, but it's not till you actually do a seating on one of those bikes that you realise what it's going to be like. Is it for you? Is it not your style? Did have a couple of customers come in, and obviously they couldn't get a Michigan for love or money, and we are struggling to get hold of Michigans as well. The one that we did have on display, if I could have sold that 3 or 4 times over. But Michigans are coming in, but most of the bikes now are going to be late September, beginning of October. I know certain bikes are not until November, due to obviously supply and demand. And the demand is outstripping the supply at the moment. Out of 4,000 bikes that are shipping in, that was a little bit close. Of the 4,000 bikes shipping in, I think they've sold half of the stock of those 4,000 on pre-order already. So a lot of bikes going out. Obviously the purposes of ride testing, I'm out in this wind and it is absolutely blustery. I don't know if you can actually tell off the mic of the camera how windy it actually is, but it is really rough out there. I'd say it's gusting around about 40 mile an hour at the moment, but I'm not getting knocked around like you would on a lighter bike. So this LXR is very, very planted, coping very, very well with the wind. The only thing I would say, obviously with a headwind on, I'm not trying to apply too much throttle, so it is knocking me back quite a bit. It's knocking me around 36 to 37 miles an hour when I'm trying to hold at 40. But obviously I don't want to give it too much throttle for the purposes of ride testing. And obviously I ride test at 40 mile an hour. A lot of people said, no, you can go straight up to 60. No. Definite answer, no, 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 no. If Lexmoto were going to change their ride procedure, it would be out in the next bulletin. And the ride test, it does state 40 mile an hour for the first 500k. If they were going to change that ride test series, they would notify us in the bulletin and say, no, you can ride test it up to 60 mile an hour, give it quick burst, bring it back down. It does not state anything like that in the bulletins. It does state ride at 40 mile an hour, which is what we do on all of our bikes. Now obviously other dealers, they may ride test different. That is up to them if they want to follow their own procedure and ride. But I would never ever ride over about 45 mile an hour on one of these bikes for the purposes of running in. That is what you're meant to do. A lot of people said, oh, it's detrimental to the bike keeping the revs so low and not giving it full revs. You're going to get piston scoring, you're going to get bluing of the cylinders. Absolute BS. Absolute BS. If you're going to be ragging that up, you're going to be overheating that engine. You're going to get that engine so hot, that is when you're going to get bore wear. And if you actually look at when they do an oil change on this, because obviously this has got the running oil in it at the moment, when you do a full oil change on the first service, you can always tell if a bike has been running at the appropriate speed by the amount of metal shards that you'll get on that magnetic sump bolt. And obviously we've seen it where it's come in, little bit of dark oil, little bit of swarf. Yep, that bike's been running appropriately. And then we get some that come in, you actually take the sump plug out and it looks like someone's put a Christmas tree of metal on the bottom. And you can tell instantly that bike has been taken over the speed. But the idea is to wear your pistons and your bores in nice and smoothly. But obviously if you want to do your own thing on it, that is up to you. Then you're going to start getting issues with the bike further down the line. So obviously I'm not going to comment on other dealers riding at 60-70 mile an hour on these, pushing it to full revs, pushing it absolutely past the 60 mark. If that's what you want to do and you want to buy a bike from a dealer that does that, then fine. But ask them, always ask a dealer what ride test mileage they're going to do, how fast they're going to take the bike up to, and that is their own personal thing. This is my personal opinion, obviously, and I tend to keep that to myself. So this is what we do at Eclipse. We would always ride test at 40 mile an hour. Hence the reason why we do a ride video that shows those clocks sitting at a nice steady 41, 42 all the time. I do tend to sort of push it up like I am now, take it up to about 45, give it a quick burst and then back it off. So we're 6.7 miles in on the ride test on this one. We're going to crack up some extra mileage up and down the dual carriageway a little bit, and then I'll crack back in when we go back into the urban route. So I'll catch up with you guys in just a while. So just coming back off the dual carriageway now, back into the urban route. Currently just over 10 miles, so half the ride mileage used up. Another 10 miles to put on that. That will be done on ride test 2. And everything has been checked. Braking is very, very good. Ride position very, very comfortable. Pegs are set up. Gear lever's exactly the right place as I want it, and the brake lever. Mirrors in exactly the right position. I'm just going to come in while there's no traffic and just do a nice front brake in, just to pull it down, and very, very effective on that. So the only thing I have picked up on is the clutch bite is quite a way out, so I'd like that clutch adjusted. That's going to be passed across to the PDI team this morning, because obviously the first PDI has been checked over, but obviously being with a bike on a ramp, he can't check the clutch for me, which is why it's going to be going in for quality control checks this morning after I get back with the bike, and I'm going to ask them to get that clutch adjusted. Does bite, it's not slipping at all, but clutch bite is just a little bit too far out for me as a rider. I've picked up on that, so I would like that clutch adjusted. That's going to be passed on to my paperwork, which is what we do, hence the purposes of ride testing. And then we do it all over again, bulk check, PDI, QC, final ride test, and give the customer a call. But that is the only thing that I've picked up on this morning, and that is one of our Motoserve drivers right next to me. So just waiting for the lights to change, make our way back to the garage. As I said before, all the LXRs are now sold out across the country. We have got a few more coming. They should be in about the next month or so. Pull through the box, gear change is very, very effective. Does the rev match down very, very well, and tyres are nicely scrubbed in now. But obviously these are nylon tyres on these. Most Lexmoto bikes do have these nylon tyres. A lot of people slate the tyres. They're effective, they do the job. Obviously I'm not going to say they're the best in the world. They are better than what they were a couple of years ago. But obviously they are nylon tyres, and everyone's like, you know, oh, are they full rubber tyres? No, they're nylon. They do the job effectively, so I'm quite happy with these nylon tyres. Especially in the dry, they are very grippy. Can be a little bit skittish in the wet, but obviously you're not going to be leaning bikes over in the wet. You're going to be taking your time, taking it nice and easy round the corners. So as an experienced rider, nylon tyres are good, but obviously you just have to be careful. They're not going to be your full Pirelli Diablos or your Michelin Powers. So what I'd say is run the tyres for about a year or 6 months, get your money's worth out of them, and then swap up to a decent brand. A lot of people just decide to go like for like and just put the nylons back on there. It's personal choice. I find the tyres adequate, but others have sort of said, you know, oh, don't like the nylon tyres. So Ride test over on this LXR. There will be another one up when we do the second ride test. A couple more bikes coming up this week, and obviously keep an eye out for what's happening on the Lexmoto pages with those 3 new bikes. As always, social media is on my page on revbomb.co.uk. Eclipse Motorcycles on the first page, all my social media on the last page. If you enjoyed it, thumbs up on that. And until next time, be well, ride safe guys, and from Rev Bomb, it's a big goodbye from me.